Welcome to MI Magazine Presents Soul, a weekly entertainment show on fashion, arts and culture, mental health, relationships, travel, and food. Our weekly co-hosts are Taj McGill, Carla Hill, Dr. Delvina Thomas, Danella Ricard, and Chef Irie. Now introducing our host, Miss Nikki Jellin.
Hello, everybody. Good night. Happy Wednesday. Well, I'm your host, Nikki Jellin. Nikki says YOLO. And welcome to MIA Magazine Presents Soul. So we have a really great show tonight. But my first question to open is, so the majority of the United States were vaccinated. And the big question is returning back to work and returning back to school. So, I do work within corporate America, and we had to fill out a survey asking our preferences with returning back to work physically in the office. So my preference was, nah, I'm good. I like to stay at home. Can y'all accommodate that? Can we at least do a hybrid at least? Then now at the schools, I believe, are resuming back in the fall. So my question to you all are, do you want to go back to work if you are working from home? If you have children, what about going back to school? Because as far as I know, working from home, it's less stressful, less gas, less miles on your car. Not having to speak to that person down the hall or the cube next to you. I don't know, but leave your comments. Let me see your thoughts. Let me know your point of view. And if you're ready to go back to work and ready for the whole school with the school zones, the school buses and all that stuff. So we have a really great show tonight. I'll be speaking to the award-winning filmmaker, international business executive, and U.S. Army veteran, and also the founder of Miami Web Festival, the none other than Bryan G. Thompson. So I'll be speaking to him in a few minutes. Stay put, don't go anywhere. Now, a message from our sponsor. So join the African American Black Alzheimer's Disease Initiative at the John P. Hussman Institute for Human Genomics, University of Miami Miller School of Medicine. If you are someone that is experiencing loss of memory or memory problems, or if you know someone who has those problems, please contact their research team for more info at 877-686-6444. Again, the number is 877-686-6444. Now, my first co-host, it's Taj McGill. Again, she is the executive director of the South Florida Academy of Fashion Academy. She's also the founder of the styling firm and Talk is Chic. However, her daughter is graduating. So congrats to Jada Johnson from Dillard High School. She'll be attending Savannah State University. So applaud to that. And also, I want to give a shout out to my nephew, Marcus Samuels. What? Sorry, y'all. So he's graduating from Miami Lakes Educational Center, and he'll be attending my college, Florida Atlantic University, FAU, the Owls. So congrats to all the 2021 graduates. I know y'all are celebrating. Y'all are probably out there eating and with your family and your friends. Congratulations, and congrats to your future, your endeavors, and all that good stuff. So now on to my next co-host. She is our mental and health wellness advocate. She's also the founder of the Brain Love podcast. So Dr. Delvina, what is happening this Wednesday?
Hey, Nikki, are you ready to take the couch?
Always ready.
So listen, we just had Memorial Day. A couple of days ago, it was Memorial Day, and we paid tribute to those who have died or gave their lives in the line of duty. Now, sometimes people confuse Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And so as a veteran, I'm a veteran of foreign wars 3 foreign wars, Iraq, Afghanistan, and also I've been deployed to Kuwait. I just wanted to share a video with everyone before we get into our little discussion, if that's okay.
In so doing, we offer solemn tribute to all comrades, wherever they may rest.
All right, man. Shout out to VFW Post 8195, a place where I am a member. It's located on Pembroke Road. If there are any veterans watching and you don't have a home, you don't have a VFW that you belong to, please consider coming to VFW Post 8195, Stone of Hope. It is probably the only Black-run VFW in Florida. Can't say in the nation because where I'm from in Maryland, we have one as well. But here in definitely South Florida, the only Black-run VFW post. And so folks who have veterans in their family, be sure your veteran is registered at the VA hospital. You never know, they could qualify for service-connected disability, especially Vietnam veterans. So I just wanted to play that for you folks. And remember, listen to 99 Jams Community Matters on Sunday mornings at 5 a.m. with Super Cindy and myself so that you can get all your information about what's going on in the community.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Delvina, thank you so much for your services.
All right. Say brain love, Nikki.
Brain love. We'll see you next week. And now on to my next co-host. Well, she is the host on CW's Traveling with Danella Richard. It's a lifestyle and culture series about traveling. Tune in every Sunday on the CW at 10 a.m. And now we have a video clip to show you.
Watch Traveling with Danella Richard on Sunday mornings.
All right, awesome. So we'll see you Sunday at 10 a.m. And now on to my next co-host. He is a personal and private chef. He's also featured on Taste the Island on American Public Television. So Chef Irie, wagwan tonight. What are we drinking?
Licky. Yes, girl. Woo! Yeah. I'm in my feelings. I'm in my Caribbean vibes. Why am I in my Caribbean vibes? Because guess what? This month is Caribbean American Heritage Month. Yes! Yes, June, Caribbean American Heritage Month, where we get to celebrate our Caribbean peoples, our Caribbean culture.
Hey, Chef, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Chef?
Yeah, I can hear you. Woo, said kids, yes, flag.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, cool. Yes. So, I got all kind of flags for you today, baby. I got Guyana. I got St. Lucia. Yeah, if you don't know your flags, I got St. Lucia, baby. Yes. I got Barbados in the house. Yes. Fungi. Yes. Cuckoo. And of course, I got Jamaica in the house as well. So 2006, that's when it started. George Bush, he said, hey, we're going to make June Caribbean American Heritage Month. So we've been celebrating ever since. And, we love our Caribbean islands. I know you're from Jamaica too. You left when you was a little tyke, but guess what? That blood, that DNA is still strong, baby. And there's so many different things that, I love about not just my Jamaica, but the Caribbean, on a whole. And we all know that there are many, 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 many talented people that come from the Caribbean islands. So whether it's in culinary or it's artistic in sculptures and painting and all that good stuff. And yes, Caribbean Heritage Month. So I want to tell people out there, if you're from one of the Caribbean islands, here's what I want you to do. Go and try someone else's Caribbean food this month, this week. Yes, yes, you love your Trini food, but guess what? Go try some Bajan food. They are out there. Go try some Bahamian food. It is out there. Go try, just try something different than what we grew up in, because we want to spread culture. We want to spread the love. We have some right there in this picture. We got some Jamaican stew peas and rice, my favorite. Made with pigtails. Thank you very much. We got Accra. If there's a Caribbean island right now that doesn't have some kind of fritter, sawfish fritter, conch fritters, Accra, hey, we got over here mango from the DR. We got sancocho. We got boiled fish from the Bahamas. We got fungi, from Caicos and Barbados, man. Look here, man. We got so much kind of diversity, when it comes from food. You just can't and end without, the month without trying something new, something different. And of course, Caribbean Heritage Month means, events, chock full of events. Whether you're here in South Florida, North Florida, outside the state, New York, wherever there is, huge Caribbean contingency and an embassy and all that good stuff, trust me, they are putting on Caribbean American Heritage Month events. And I know here in Broward, Island Space Caribbean Museum, you've heard of it? You're hearing about it now. I think they're having their official opening and launch this Sunday, June 6th. Yes. So it's out by the, where is it? Westfield Mall. That's out. It used to be called the Broward Mall over there.
Mall on University and Broward Boulevard.
Yeah. Yes. So that is where Island Space Caribbean Museum is located. It's built as the first Caribbean museum here in this country. Yes, small beginnings, we know, but we're going to develop and it's going to be large. You know what I'm saying? So if you're from a state, check your local cities. I know Miramar locally is doing a lot of stuff. They did their kickoff on the 1st, and they have a bunch of stuff. And I'm also doing an event this weekend to celebrate Mr. Basil Watson. He's a renowned artist and sculptor, and he had some work that's going on being presented, through, I think, in Miramar as well, called Awakenings and some other things. And he did the sculpture, the Martin Luther King sculpture in Atlanta by the stadium. So he's well renowned, does awesome work. So check your local cities. Lots going on. Come out and be Caribbean with me. Yes,
so Chef, we have a question.
So
we're asking, do you have any recommendations as far as trying other Caribbean cuisines?
Oh, come on, man. All right, so we just came right off of Haitian Heritage Month. So that's one. If you have nothing else and you go show your Haitian brothers and sisters some love. There's so much to try there. Yes, there's some Bahamian places that you need to try. That dish that I just mentioned, that boiled fish, and you need to try their boiled fish and peas and grits. Now,
any restaurant names you can recommend, or
right? So for Haitian, Chef Creole, obviously. There's a Bahamian restaurant down in Opalak. Is it Opalak? I think it is. And there's one right up here on of course in Hollandale. For the Jamaican restaurants, you can pick Montego Bay. There's Jamaica House. There's Donna's. And all that good stuff.
All of that.
Yeah, all of that. Yes. So check
Nice.
it out. Enjoy. There you go. Oh, black-owned hotels and restaurants. There's a good source.
Mm,
Why, thank you. Yes.
this
And
is good.
the Visitors Bureau, where you can find a lot of places to go and dine and enjoy. Try out. Delicacies, Caribbean delicacies. Yes, a lot of them are black-owned. Yeah, there you go.
So everybody visit the website, and there is a page that shows all the Black-owned and Caribbean restaurants within Dade, Broward, and West Palm Beach.
Look at that. See, you ain't got to go further than MIA Legacy Style, baby. Yes. And remember, I'm on Ricky Smiley Morning Show every other Friday. I will be on, not this Friday, but next Friday, 9:30
All
a.m.
right. Jeff, thank you so much. We'll see you next
Thank
week.
you.
And now on to our featured guest. So he is an award-winning filmmaker. He's also an international business executive and a U.S. Army veteran. He's also the founder of Miami Web Festival, which premieres next week, June 10th, actually. So Bryan G. Thompson, thank you so much for being here. How's your day going?
It's going great. I'm telling you, we're really excited. Everything's coming together, and I woke up this morning, so I got nothing to complain about.
You and me both. No complaints. Health and strength.
Yes, it is.
So tell us a little about your backgrounds, because so award-winning filmmaker, business executive, and also U.S. Army veteran. So how did you get into the whole film industry to begin with?
I always say I didn't really pick it. It kind of chose me in a way, because I really just, I've always been a creative person, but I've always, I came from a family that really valued conventional education a lot. So I was constantly, studying and getting all these degrees. And while I was doing that, I was always finding ways to stay connected to my art. And so that's why, when you read about me, it just seems disjointed, because I'm doing this and on this side and that on that side. But my true passion, what comes from my spirit is art.
Wow. So you felt like, so growing up, you felt like you kind of had to, I guess, go in a path that your parents wanted you to go in, but deep down inside, you're really more creative, more as a screenwriter, producer, filmmaker. That was like your true passion deep down inside.
Yeah, always. I mean, if I had said I want to be a movie star, they would have laughed me out of the house. I'd have been outside knocking on the door like this. And,
Let me make it,
what you say you want to be when you grow up again? Okay. Oh, you want to be a lawyer? Okay, got it. So, yeah, exactly. So, now I do have, I study international business and law, and, I've worked in those fields, but at the same time, I've always been creating. So it started off, I was singing, even when I was active duty, I was singing in different bands, and I mean all different types of music, salsa, R&B.
You were singing salsa? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Toward the end of my military career, I was singing with a salsa band called Orquesta Tumbal Salsero, and we were getting it, just touring around and stuff. Before that, I sang with a band called Jesse James Band, and we toured in Europe and Asia. So that was pretty cool. It was a cool experience. But it was like at the time I'm touring, people that know me from back in the day, it's like, you got an international business degree. Why are you like singing in band? You know what I mean? You could be making so much more money. And then, money did get tight, and then I flipped and started, doing international business, and then I missed it terribly. You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things that I've, the short answer to that question is I always find my way back home to what my heart needs. Mm-hmm. And that is art, and now it's filmmaking. It's just It's been, I'm very fortunate too. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
My very first film was a short film called Noventa. And, even that one, won awards and saying that was the first one I had ever done, but I was applying some of the knowledge that I learned, in business in the production arena. And the number one thing that I learned in business is know when you don't know. And so I knew coming into this game, I didn't go to film school. So I didn't know a lot of stuff. So I surrounded myself with people who knew the stuff. All I knew was I need return on investment. You know what I mean? So I need to put this in and I need to get something out. I need to know what I'm trying to get out.
Right.
And that has served me pretty well. I mean, I'm releasing 5 feature films this year.
Okay, so we're gonna get there. So my next question was, now, okay, so you had your journey leading up to your passion and your heart desire. So then came about the Miami Web Film Festival, right? So tell us more about the inception of that. Like, what made you create this event to begin with?
So it also chose me. I stumbled into these things. So the part that I missed that I should have mentioned is I was acting, I was trying to become a successful actor, but I wasn't getting the roles. And there is a certain contingent of society that just kind of feels like if what you're doing is not the only thing that you're doing, then you ain't committed to it. You know what I mean? So that could have been the reason, or it could have just been the fact that, even in the indie world, I was finding that there was limited opportunities for Black male actors, and I really wanted to I wanted to be part of groups that were trying to portray something new and different and fresh of the Black experience, of the Black diaspora. And I wasn't getting that. So that was what really made me say, okay, I got to start writing, and then I have to start producing. Well, the producing came about because I was writing, and then I was like, okay, somebody's gonna invest $1 million in this script, and then I was like, nah, right, you have to do it yourself. So I had to put my pennies together and just do it myself. And very similar to that is how I stumbled on the Miami Web Fest, because I had a web series. And it was a action sci-fi web series called The Cell, and it was doing pretty well. I had 5 episodes, and I was traveling around to these festivals, and I would get into the festivals, but then I was finding that we weren't winning, and B, we weren't getting anything out of the festival besides going there and hoping we would win. And so that made me feel, some kind of way. And I was like, well, this isn't right. And so I felt like there should be a festival experience for up and coming filmmakers that should give them the opportunity that if you go and you don't win, you still got a lot out of the festival, because you learn from people who really had some chops in the business, and you got a chance to ask those questions of the people who hold the keys to the kingdom, specifically executives, big time directors and network executives, to ask them real questions like, look, I got good content. How do I get seen? And then I felt like there should be a place where you can actually get discovered, and you can get to that next level. And I felt that didn't really exist, or it existed just for a select few. Like if you happen to get into the really, really, really big film festivals. But a lot of times that's political too. Sometimes, the bigger you get, the more political you get, and it just gets harder for, if you up and coming, it's hard to get discovered. So that frustration, I guess, is what inspired me to start my own film festival. And I wanted it to be web series focused, because what I was running into is film festivals didn't really do a good job of it. It was like the web series community is its own niche. And a lot of web series creators, they've pretty much decided that with this particular project that they're creating, they want to connect directly with their audience, and they want their audience to interact with them and ask for more and say, you know what, next season we want to see so-and-so do this. And you can't really do that with network television because you don't know those people. You know what I mean?
Right. Always.
Yeah, exactly. And so that I wanted to build upon that feeling. And then another thing had happened like right before I started the festival, which is I started to see a trend in the industry where people like Issa Rae and, the show, and there was, a show called another HBO show that got picked up, High Maintenance. And then there was a show on Comedy Central that was called Broad City. So I saw those three shows and I was like, okay, so web series, you can have an independently produced web series and you can turn it into something. But you still are going to need that jump off point. These people that were successful, they typically had some connection in the industry. There was somebody that kind of blessed off on them. But what if you don't have that? So I wanted to become that. And that was pretty much the rest is history, as they say. That's how it got started. And another thing, I happened to be, so I always say it was partly drugged because let me explain, I see that face. I happened to be in the hospital because I had to have a major surgery. I was still in active duty military at the time. And I had to have a major surgery. They had to take out a piece of my lung, something related to my deployment in Iraq. And so, it's post-surgery. I'm laying in the hospital. All this other stuff has happened. I've already created the web series. I've already gone to these festivals while still on active duty.
What?
Yeah. And so I woke up and I was like, I'm going to start a web series festival. And I mean,
it just hit.
Yeah, I went online to see if there was a Miami Web Fest. Because at this point, there was like one or two in Europe, and there was one or two in the States. I didn't find one, and I was like, "How is it not a Miami Web Fest? There's got to be a Miami Web Fest." And I'm so serious about this. I actually looked twice. I looked once, and then I was like, sometimes Google is wrong. Let me try Bing. And Bing, same thing. So I was like, all right, you know what? Miami Web Fest, let's do it. And
it was waiting for you.
I think so. I think you're right. It was waiting for me. And it was a special moment. It was a strange moment that I will never forget because I realized once I got the domain name, that's the key to everything, right? So I registered that domain name and I was like, I'm the founder of the Miami Web Fest.
Yes, you are.
Okay. And then I was like, I have no idea how to run a film festival. So it just, trial and error.
You're going to learn now. Yes. Yeah. So you're basically the source. You're basically the source and the portal for those talents looking to have their work seen and to be heard, in a sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, you're also a screenwriter as well. So, like, where do you get your influences from? Like, how do you write your storylines? Like, how do you get those creative juices flowing with your stories? Who's your inspiration for that?
All right. So I love films. And I guess that probably seems obvious, but I love films. Like, I'm that guy who, if you ever go into a theater and there's only one guy in there, it's probably me. You know what I mean? Because I will go to the movies by myself, and a lot of times it's not really to study, but there's something about that experience. And when a film can take you on a real journey, it just takes me back to a time when I was a child and I could just forget about like real stuff and bills and all that kind of stuff. So it's so therapeutic for me that I realized that, I need to, when I started writing scripts, I tried to let me tell you this just anecdotally. I tried to get a degree in screenwriting. And it was like I had a mental block with the process of getting a degree. And the reason is because I was already so far down my path with my bad, I'm joking when I say this, but my bad habits. The way I write my scripts is I see the movie in my head from the seat in the theater. So as I'm writing, I am visualizing it as a person sitting in the theater. So I'm conscious of how that person in the theater feels when I write a certain thing. And then I read it to myself and I have that experience again. And if it takes me on that journey, then I know I'm on the right path and then I keep going. That's my process. So I'm not, at least with my first draft, I'm not worried about, am I hitting all these marks and am I doing what the experts say about this and that? I just flow with it. And then, if I'm writing like for a big, very particular company or something like that, then okay, they can take it and they can, red market and all the rest. However, so far, that process has worked for me very well.
So wait, so do you have like a particular genre? Are you like comedy or romance or drama? Like, do you have a specific category?
So I will tell you that being a military guy, I really love action. But you know what I mean? But this company, Maverick, they came to me a couple years ago, and that I met them through the festival, and they said, we want a movie, we would really like them, they distributed my movie Rogue Cell, which is action. And then they said, action is good and everything, but we noticed that there's a market for a Thanksgiving movie. So we would like a Thanksgiving movie. And I had never had someone come to me and ask me to make a movie for them. So I immediately said yes. And then I went home and said, I don't know how to write no Thanksgiving. I'm just like, uh-oh. What did I just do? Because the thing is, the family that I created is not really similar to the family that I grew up in. So I had to really sort of take myself to a place where people that I've known in my life become these characters. And each one of those characters took on the life of, to some extent, people that I actually knew in my life. And then I put them together and they were all completely incompatible with one another. You know what I mean? Because just imagine like people that you know from all different walks of life, and then you bring them together and you make them family. It's going to be chaos, and they're not going to get along, and they're going to have problems, and they're not going to see things the same way. But for a family comedy, it worked. And so, I think I'm allowed to say this, but I know that it's one of Maverick's most successful films. And so, and that really got me, it changed my perspective on things, because I'm like, okay, I'm an action guy. I know action. I know all that government stuff and conspiracies and espionage, all that. That's what I know, but then it was like, whoa, I can do this. It was like learning a new language. You know what I mean? It made me feel like, oh, I could do some stuff now.
So when was it released, and how can we watch it? The Thanksgiving movie that you made, like.
Sure. So the Thanksgiving movie is there. It is, Thanksgiving with the Carters, and that is yeah. So that movie is on Amazon, Fandango, It's on Tubi. You can watch it for free. At this point, I think you can go on Maverick's platform. If you go to YouTube, you can probably watch it for free on their YouTube platform. Maverick has a television channel called Maverick Free Black Cinema, and you can go on there, and that's streaming. So the movies that I know they have in rotation right now are the movies I released this year. So those are Valentine's Date, Carter Family Reunion, which just came out yesterday, Easter Someday, I'm just looking at the graphic here, and then Rogue Cell 2. So all 4 of those movies have come out in 2021 in this calendar year.
Wow, you did all of this? Like, this was all released this year?
Released this year.
Start.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
When did production start?
So each one was a little bit different, but I would say most of them, I did all those movies within the 2020 calendar year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I see you in, okay, wait, so you star in all of them? Because I think that's you I see, like, in all of them.
So in Easter Someday, that's not me on the poster. That's an actor named Ronald Gamble.
Okay.
Yeah. He just happened to have his head shaved too. But I do have, I have different roles in different ones, right? So with Thanksgiving with the Carters movies, I'm really just a supporting character. But I act in the movies because I know what I'm looking for, and I know that if there's something missing, like let's say it's just not funny enough at a certain part, then I can personally inject that, that comic relief that kind of sets off the rest of it. And I actually have one more movie coming out this year too, which is called Thanksgiving with the Carters 2, Second Helping. So that one is in post-production right now, but it will definitely be ready in time for Thanksgiving. So really
again,
excited.
you said Amazon Prime, Hulu, Fandango, and Maverick, right? Those are the 4 platforms we can watch the movie.
There are more. So it's also on Crackle.
Sony Crackle.
What is it?
Is Sony Crackle?
Yeah. Sony Crackle. It's on Redbox, Redbox Digital. And I know that there are more that I'm forgetting, but the big, everybody has Amazon. So, Amazon and Tubi are the ones that I generally send people to watch all the movies.
Right.
Carter Family Reunion is only on Tubi right now, but in about 3 weeks, then it'll start coming to more platforms.
Oh wow, that's awesome! I know there's like Fubu, there's Pluto, there's Zumo, there's a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Russell says, Bryan, when does my first residual check arrive for my cameo appearance in the newly released Carter Family Reunion?
Yes. It is in the mail. It is definitely in the mail. So listen, you guys have a star on your hands. You didn't even know it.
Yes, Russell, I gotta watch now. Definitely. So what obstacles did you have to face, especially being a man of color in this industry?
Yeah, so it's strange. The obstacle that I had to face was really, it's a different kind of, I'm hesitant to use the word racism because it's deeper than that. It's really more just a question of, people write based on their experiences. And unless they go out of their way to see things from a different perspective, then they don't include people that they don't understand. And so for years, obviously for a very, very, very long time, and even when I got started in the biz, I felt that it was still going on. To a large extent, it's still going on. But we're starting to see some very good positive change. But I've found that that's an obstacle that when I was getting into the business, I had to overcome. I was able to overcome it because I have had, the blessing and benefit of having traveled the world, and really, I understand the world from a lot of different perspectives. You know what I mean? And so because of that, most of my movies have a lot of diversity in them, particularly the action movies. They have white people, Asians, you name it. It's just all mixed in there. And I think that but it's not forced. You know what I mean? It's
flows.
Right. The diversity is there, and the diversity makes sense. And I think that we're starting to see and need to see more diversity that makes sense, and that people really sort of go out of their way when they're putting together these projects to be inclusive, and to understand that at least making an effort to have that inclusivity leads to just first of all, it's going to connect you to your audience better, and it tends to lead to a more interesting story.
Definitely. So my next question is, what is next for Bryan G. Thompson and the Miami web series? I know it launches next week, I believe June 10th.
Yeah. So June 10th through 13th, Miami Web Fest. I say Miami Web Fest. It's really the Miami Web Series Festival, as you said. But that is next, because that is right next week.
Next Thursday. Next week Thursday, right?
Yep. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to be, it's just going to be fun all the way through. Every year it's
like, walk us through it. What can we expect at the Web Festival? Like day 1, day 2, day 3. Like, I've never done it before. I've never experienced it. So walk us through it.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that you guys use these press passes that we're going to give you, because it is going to be a lot of fun. So Thursday night, we're going to be in Wynwood at Boho House. And that is the kickoff party for the festival. It's going to be, a good time. That's the moment where everybody gets together and really just kind of lets loose. Everybody's celebrating. All the filmmakers, they know that they're nominated. They know what they're nominated for. And they're excited about it. You probably see them all over the internet now posting about that stuff. So it's going to be a really good time. And we just got confirmation that DJ EFN and Crazy Hood Productions is going to come through too. So really excited to have them on board. Really, really good people. So that's Thursday night. Friday, all day, we're going to have panels. And so, the first panel we're going to have, I'll run through just some of the highlights. I'm going to speak about how to get the most out of the festival. And I'm going to be interviewed by one of our board members, Laverne Daly, and I'm going to really speak to everyone that's there. So, some of the people that are going to be there are filmmakers. A lot of them, I'd say probably half will be filmmakers that are participating in the festival. And then the other half is going to be aspiring actors, directors, just film enthusiasts, people who just want to take advantage of this, and then a lot of press.
Are they locals? Are they locals, or are they traveling?
Yeah, so the filmmakers that are participating in the festival are from all over. Yeah, I would say about 90% of them are from either Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, or somewhere within the United States, and the other 10% are local. And then I'm also, the Carter Family Reunion there's a lot of local talent that is in that movie. So they'll be in the place also, and we're going to be celebrating, taking a lot of pictures, red carpet, and talking about the movie, and just celebrating that. So another big thing that is happening is we're going to have a filming in Florida panel, where we'll have some Florida film commission execs and people whose job it is to attract people from out of town to film in Florida
Mhm.
and talk about some of the benefits of filming in Florida. Despite, you know, a lot of people think that we don't have any film incentives, but there are some local film incentives, even though we don't have the big one. So, you know, we're going to have some folks coming in and talk about that. That day at 1 o'clock, DJ EFN is going to be in the place. And he and Crazy Good Productions are going to be talking about the come up and how you make it in this business, because they're actually, video content creators. So they really, even though they have a podcast and they also do digital filmmaking, they have documentaries, and they're doing very well with this stuff. So everybody in the room really wants to understand, well, how do we get that? I mean, the biggest question in the web series community is, how do we get to the money? And so DJ EFN is going to answer that question. He's got a lot of really great insight and feedback, and he's going to do it in a very relaxed environment. I didn't mention that all of this is happening at Duffy's upstairs, which is Duffy's, North Miami Beach. It's so, you know, we got drinks going on the whole day. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll do Q&As with all the filmmakers, the official selections in the festival. So it's just going to be a very good first day, because we're kicking off in a great way. And, you know, we'll just have a lot of people in the place that I think are going to be worth anybody's time showing up. And then Saturday, we have a lot of network execs that are going to be in the place. And I think, so out of all the days, Saturday is probably the longest day, because there's just a lot of really, really exciting content. You know, if I was somebody who's going to pick, like, okay, which days do I come? I would say all the days, because you're looking at, you know, you're just looking at a lot of information. If you're an aspiring actor or independent filmmaker, there's a lot of information that you're going to get. We're talking about, we have an executive coming in talking about how to sell your script. We have some distribution executive from Maverick Entertainment, Sony Pictures, Viacom, and Paramount Pictures. And they will all be talking about, the panel is called Distribution Decoded. And it's all about, you know, how do you get a distribution deal? What does it look like? How do you, you know, step on your own feet and not get the distribution deal? You know, what is it that distinguishes your project from other projects? And questions like that. Really getting into the weeds on, you know, how do we make this dream happen?
Right.
Really what it's all about. Excuse me. And so after that, we have a diversity and inclusion in film panel, which again, network execs talking about what are some of the changes that are being made in the industry, and how can diverse filmmakers from different backgrounds understand it and capitalize on it, really. Then we have a music licensing and sync panel, where they're going to talk about, you know, how do you get the perfect music, and how do you get that music that you think is unattainable by that big name artist. You know, we have some people in the room that are going to be able to talk about that. We have 3 executives from Sony Music, well, 2 from Sony Pictures and 1 from Sony Music, who are going to talk about that.
Right.
Yep.
So I see here Laverne DeLay, I believe. It says Saturdays at Newport Beachside Resort. So Saturdays at Newport Beach, which is in sunny out, right? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And where can we find the info? Like, so is there like a website we can visit to look at the different days, and where can we purchase tickets? So where should we visit?
So everyone just needs to go to miamiwebfest.com. And right there, you click on tickets, and you can see a lineup of everything. You can go to the schedule and see exactly what happens at what time. But the ticketing link will tell you that also. And pretty much one-stop shop. That's where you get all the information, and that's where you get the tickets.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, guys, it's MiamiWebFest.com. Everything is on there. The breakdown starting from next week, Thursday, all the way through Sunday, right?
Yeah, Sunday's the big award ceremony. That's the day.
Awesome. So what would you tell your younger self, and how old would you be?
I would, if I had to pick an age, I would say 19. Because at 19, that was where it all kind of came to head for me, and I just felt very lost. And I was like, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what 30 even is going to look like. You know what I mean? And, it was a time in my life where, I was kind of in between. I had a couple years of college, and then, I had to drop out temporarily, and I didn't know how temporary it's going to be. Just all of these things, you know what I mean? And what I would tell that kid is, it's going to be painful, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Well, Bryan, I just want to say also thank you for your services. I mean, you are a veteran, so thank you so much, and I'm just happy to hear that you're living your dream.
I appreciate that, and
my thing is, Nikki says YOLO. Tomorrow isn't a guarantee, so it's so inspirational to hear that you took that leap of faith and you followed your gut instinct. So, thank you for your services, and just thank you for sharing your talent with us.
Well, I really tremendously appreciate this, and I got to tell you, MIA Media Group and Legacy MIA, you guys are a part of this dream. And yeah. I'm grateful that you are.
Thank you. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Time to turn up.
So have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Thank you. And so everyone, tomorrow is Lunch with Legacy Leaders with Anne-Marie Sorrell. It's every Thursday at 12 p.m. So she interviews leaders on issues impacting the Black community. So tune in to MIA Media GRP on Facebook. Again, it's MIA Media GRP on Facebook tomorrow at 12 p.m. So this show is brought to you by the SWA Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County and also the AARP. So stay tuned for next week's guest. And again, congratulations to all the 2021 high school graduates. Have a good night.